Hi everyone, and welcome to another Goretober speed paint. I know it's been a hot minute, but none of the speed paints that I've uploaded, none of the Goretobers that I've done have seemed to be worthy of the speed paint. Oh wait, well, there was that one very one, but that's already out. Anyway, so today I'm gonna be doing a sort of self-evaluation critique thing, considering it's the middle of the month and stuff. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to go back and review some of my pieces for just this month so far, the first 15 days, and just kind of see how that's going for me. Yeah, so first up we have day one, which was teeth, and I drew this vampire lady. And looking back on this, I really I'm not digging the forehead, guys. I tried to emulate the same thing that I sort of did in my sketchbook, which I think turned out a lot better. I think that just the forehead's really annoying me. I think the shape is a little weird, and I think that the eyes kind of they look a little weird in that space. It's just mostly just the forehead looking weird as fuck. I do, however, like the sort of expressiveness of her body and her arm. I do think that her arm that is mostly shown, like the hand that's kind of gripping her shoulder thingy, it's a little weirdly drawn, but I feel like it could be a little better handled. I think it's a little too sharp around the edges, like specifically where it like bends and stuff. I feel like if that were softened up a little, it'd look kind of nicer. However, I think that it looks okay-ish. I really just don't like that hand. I feel like it could use a little bit of fixing and it'd look okay. I do, however, like the line weight. I like the line weight sort of used here, and I'm really proud of it, since I don't usually do heavy line art sort of things like that. Moving on to day two, we have a little painted doodle of one of my troll sonas, and this is just sort of my normal standard sort of style. Day two's prompt was stitches, I do believe, and I really like how this one turned out. It's one of the better ones, considering it is in my sort of normal style, and I'm mostly used to doing it like this. I really like the lighting, like the dramatic lighting on everything, and I like the blank stare that she sort of has in her eyes, and just the way the shading really turned out kind of reminds me of Frankenstein for some reason. I don't know why, but you know, it's fine. I think that there's nothing much to say about this piece. It's nothing, too groundbreaking or amazing, but there's nothing too bad about it either. Just, I like the lighting. I think I did well in the shading. It gives off a nice feel to it. Nothing too pizzazz, so yeah, I think that's, it's a fine doodle. It'll pass. It's just my normal style, so there's nothing to really sort of nitpick on. Going on to number 3, which was plant growth, and I drew a rose quartz. And I really like how this turned out, considering that it's just a simple lineless style. I think that the overall look of it looks very nice. I like the way that I've used the colors, and especially the shine on the hair. However, I do think the pose is a little awkward, and her face is, just her head in general is a little oddly shaped, oddly placed even, on the body, and especially that arm that is going up sort of into her hair. I think that that's also just a little strangely placed. I think that I could have done a little better on her face. I do like the tear though. I think the tear is very nice. I do like the plant growth at her gem, but I just really think that the posing is a little strange here. It feels like it's almost dynamic, but it just misses the mark somewhere. I feel like I would do a different pose if I had to redo this piece, but I'm very satisfied with the way it turned out. I'm very satisfied with the colors, especially since this was my sort of first proper attempt at doing a lineless sort of style, and I'm quite proud of this piece, regardless of the very strange posing. Now number 4, which is arguably one of my favorites, out of all the pieces. Number 4 was Broken Bones, and I really love the expressiveness of the pose in this piece. I really just love doing those sort of broken bones kind of looking things, and just a really very weird anatomy that seems to be almost correct, but it's a little weird at certain points, and it just feels you feel the expressiveness, I suppose. Maybe that's just me. Another thing that really sort of grabs my attention with this piece is just the colors. I really love the colors that I chose for this specifically. I love the sort of red tints and the purples and blues mixed throughout, and the really dark horns and the hands, I think, gives it a very nice contrast and something to look at, because everything sort of like blends into each other, even if there are like hints of blue and stuff to kind of, you know, brighten it up, cool it down a little from the mostly warmer hues. I think that the dark break with the horns and the hands, just it looks really nice, and I think that it really lends to the piece. Overall, I just like the way that the line art and the sort of soft painted kind of shading really looks, and I really like this style, and I've actually been using this style a little more often just because I find it so enjoyable to look at and also to do. It's a lot of fun. It's a mix between line art, which is something that I don't usually like, but I find myself doing more often because it's time saving, I suppose, and then painterly sort of shading, which is something that I love because I love painting. Next, moving on, is day 5. This was, I think, mouth trauma or tongue trauma. This is just a simple line art, cel shaded sort of piece. There's nothing to go on about here too much. I do like the colors. I think that they work nicely together. The gore is a lot more gory than the previous ones. I know the previous ones haven't been too gory, and neither have the ones in the future, but regardless. I like the hands. I think they're drawn nicely. I don't think there's anything too special about this piece. It's just a simple doodle of just a simple kid. Besides the colors that I think are nice, I think the line art's decent as well. I think I've definitely improved in my line art since doing some other stuff, like doing more line art. I think that it's really helped me, and I'm really glad, because I really struggled with line art for the longest time. So yeah, it's just a simple doodle, nothing too much going on there. Number 6 is Melting, and this is also another pretty simple one. I didn't have much time for this, but I do like the way that this sort of, it feels like it's melting. It feels goopy, and it just feels nice. I like the way the teeth look, and I like the way the goop kind of like pouring out of the candle dude's mouth feels, and I like the way that looks. I think the flame is a little weird, and I think that even the light that's on the background is a little strange, but besides that, it's a pretty standard normal piece. I think that the shading could also use a little more refining, but besides that, it's fine. Moving on to day 7, which was Arrows, and a drawing of my boy Archeon, who is my D&D character. I think that this one also suffers a little bit of a posing issue. I feel like it kind of suffers the same thing as the Rose piece did, not to the same extent, but it sort of falls under the almost dynamic but not quite there yet sort of category. Like I said, I don't think it suffers as bad as the Rose Quartz piece, but I think, you know, it's there. This was a sort of combination between the sort of line art and painterly style and just like a straight up cel shade, because it's a little more compact, a little more I feel neat than the previous one, which was 4. Like that one, but I still feel like it obviously has those painterly sort of features and feels to it. And this one also has a Gaussian blur on top of that, which gives it this sort of very sort of glowy almost look to it, and I really like that. And I love how the blood splatters look from the arrows, and I think those look really nice. I wish I did a little more detail on the wings, and I wish I didn't crumple them up so much, because I wish I knew how to draw wings well enough to kind of have them spread open. I feel like that would have really helped with the pose and the sort of dynamic feel to the piece. I feel like that would have really helped. Day 8, which was Floating Limbs, or like cut off extremities or something. I don't really like this one. I think that the colors are a little boring, a little typical. I don't really care for it as well. Another posing issue. I feel like I try to go for dynamic, and I sometimes do that, but it doesn't always work. This was done in a rush just because I was rushing that day, and it's not, it's okay. That's all I can say about this piece. It's okay. I feel like it could have used a little more lighting, especially in the hands, which come forward. I feel like if those had a little more dynamic lighting to it, instead of just this sort of boring shade, I feel like then it would look a lot more interesting, a lot more dynamic and fun to look at. But like this, it's just a boring old doodle of whatever the fuck that is. Moving on to day 9, which was nightmares, and arguably one of the most fun ones to draw. I did this in Photoshop, and I wanted to go for a little more line-oriented shading kind of thing, sort of like I did with day 1, but to a different extreme, especially with this brush that I really like from Photoshop. And I absolutely adore how this one turned out. I love how the lines sort of give this anxious feeling, and so do sort of the eyes looking in and the little squiggly bubble thingies. I wish that I did a little better drawing Verito, because I don't think I drew Verito very well in this piece, but regardless, I really do like this one. It's very simple, and that's what I sort of like about it. Like, it's simple, but it has detail in it, and it was just like a lot of fun to draw. It was just a ball. I really like it. Moving on to day 10, which is Timona again, because I guess I like to beat her up. This one was also a lot of fun to do, just because I enjoy drawing naked bodies. Not from like a weird sexual point, if any of you are just like, oh, well, you pervert, and I'm like, no. I don't know, I feel like you can just do a lot more and stuff, and I really wanted to I like to draw her arms, and I wanted to sort of like showcase the muscles of hers, but I also wanted her sort of stomach to be exposed, so I feel like this pose would just, you know, great for that, like the sort of intestine draped over her. This is a fairly simple doodle, like it's a doodle sketch thing, like right to the definition of it. I feel like I could have done a little better with the hair and a little bit of the anatomy with her, the front arm, and maybe even on her chest area and her breasts, but I think that it's alright. I feel like her smoldering gaze turned out a little more, how do I say, you know, a little more enticing than I intended it to be, as my friend pointed out and accused me of drawing Homestuck porn, and I swore to her it wasn't, and it's not, but she says that her look says otherwise, so, you know, it's up for debate, okay? Anyway, day 11 was, oh god, it was multiple eyes, that's right. And this was also another extremely fun piece to do. It was sort of like the same method and same technique I did with day 9 with Nightmares, except this time I colored it, and I wanted it to really look like a sort of a cool sort of looking poster graphic thing, and I just kind of wanted to go wild on sort of like how far I could push sort of the limits of what I think mind aspect would look like, and I thought that it'd just be a lot of fun, and I really do like how this turned out. I wish that the coloring was a little more neat, and I wish that I'd added a little more whooshes and a little more whirls at the clouds, like sort of evaporating from them. But besides that, that's fine. And I wish that I colored the eyes a little more interesting. Yeah, they're okay. I got a little lazy with them, but you know how it be sometimes. I just really like this piece overall. There are a few little nitpicky things, but overall I think that it's a pretty solid piece, and it achieved what I wanted it to be, which, like, the sort of aesthetic that it presents. And this has to be also one of like my top 3 so far. Moving on to 12, and 13/14, which aren't that interesting because I was very busy during these days and I couldn't work on Goretober that much. So 12 is just me being like, I'm a busy bitch. The anatomy is off. Everything is weird and wonky, and it's a bad doodle. The arms are way too long. That head doesn't make any sense. I don't know what to say about it. 13/14, I tried to do something, I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot, and I was just listening to some D&D shit, not gonna lie. I mean, I just think that it's a bad piece. I think that it's very underwhelming. I feel like I could have done something a little more interesting with the wings, especially since I think that the concept of them being sort of like these weird bloody wings, I think that would be pretty interesting. I think that the legs are okay, but the body and the spear definitely are very underwhelming, and overall this piece is pretty underwhelming. These little antennae of the moth are also just not as cool as they are in real life, and I think that that's dumb. But, you know, what can you do? It's just an underwhelming piece and I don't have much to say about it. Anyway, wow, this video's gone on for a little too long. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that I did a fair enough critique of myself. I can see how it could be a little biased or a little self-deprecating, especially if you hate yourself. And, you know, sometimes you deal with those things. But regardless, I hope that it was fair. If not, please sound off. I don't know. Tell me. And yeah. I hope that your Goretober is going well, or if you're not doing Goretober, whatever other October challenge that you're doing is going well. If you've kept up so far, how has it been? Are you having fun? I feel like it's not as stressful this year. It's definitely not as stressful. But regardless, I hope that you're doing well, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!